So starting with today's lecture. In previous lecture we started with a lecture number 7 from Kant's philosophy, that having the lecture on indisposition and the removal of their cause. So it is explained in under aphorism number 7, that is in footnote, that is indispositions and the removal of their cause. So we completed near about half topic of this, that is indisposition and the removal of their cause from Kant's philosophy. So in this we study the different points regarding the indispositions. So in this mainly they explain about, that is, indisposition means it is given in a footnote to paragraph 7. Hahnemann writes, it is not necessary to say that every intelligent physician would first remove this exciting or maintaining cause, that is causa occasionalis, where it exists, the indisposition thereupon generally ceases spontaneously. So in this they explain about, that is what is mean by indisposition, and to remove the indisposition the physician must know that he should first remove this exciting or the maintaining cause. Combinedly we call them as a causa occasionalis, and where it exists the indisposition thereupon generally ceases spontaneously. So there is no need of medicine to treat this indisposition. The intelligent physician must know to remove the exciting and the maintaining cause to remove these indispositions. So in this we studied the different points regarding the indisposition. In this mainly Dr. Kent differentiate between the disease and the indisposition. He explained about the different examples of indisposition. Then what is the disease of psoric nature, how you differentiate between the disease and indisposition, and removal of that is causes of exciting cause and maintaining cause, means there is a removal of indisposition and there is no need of medical treatment or medicine in that cases of indisposition. But where the indisposition is not corrected, or where the disease is not cured by removing the maintaining or exciting cause, in that there is something miasmatic cause behind it, and to treat that diseases there is a need of medicinal treatment. So in that case you have to give the medicine to the patient to give the permanent cure. So in this way Dr. Kent also give the, that is allopathic concept of disease, that is how there are different specialists of every disease condition, that is every part of body having a different specialist, and that specialist only seeing the that particular part of body, and he ignored the other part of body, and he think that that is removal of symptoms means that is the disease is cured, but this is not actual the disease is cured, there is only the removal of symptoms. So removal of symptoms means not the cure. In this Hahnemann says, it is strange that the physician cannot see that the removal of these symptoms is not followed by cure, that the patient is worse off for it. That is, they don't think that the symptom means removal of symptoms means cure. But this is not the case. Removal of symptoms means not the cure. The removal of symptoms only particular to that part, and the other part of body becoming worse and worse, and patient may become worse or decline to a die conditions. So in this he also give the examples of, that is of fistulous opening, that is the closure of fistulous opening. So Kent explain about that the physician must know the cause of every symptom, and first he remove that cause of every symptom, then he should remove that symptoms. By giving only medicine to treat that symptom, it is not a good practice. That is, you must remove that cause, you must know what is the cause behind each symptom, then you have to remove that cause, then and then only the patient goes in a state of cure. So in this he give different examples regarding this. Then he also explained the different examples of indispositions. So in this the summary of these points which we studied up till now, that is What does indisposition mean? That is a slight alteration in a state of health, that we call it as a indisposition. So in this, the noun indisposition has two senses. First one, a slight illness, and second one, a certain degree of unwillingness. Means you have a slight illness present in a body, that we call also as indisposition. Or second one, that is a certain degree of unwillingness. There is a certain feeling of unwillingness present in a human being, that we call it as a indisposition. So in this, Dr. Kent also give as a now, as in a disease from which no manifest exciting or maintaining cause, that is causa occasionalis, has to be removed, we can pursue nothing but the morbid symptom. It must regard being had to be possibility of a miasm, and attention paid to the accessory circumstances, that is given in aphorism number 5, with the symptom alone by which the disease demands and points to the remedy suited to relieve it, and moreover. So in this, when you remove the exciting or the maintaining cause, you can treat the indisposition. But when the indisposition is not cured by removing only maintaining or exciting cause, there is something behind it, and that disease condition require or demand some medicine, and you have to give that medicine to relieve the symptoms of a patient. Then the totality of these its symptoms of this outwardly reflected picture of the internal essence of the disease, that is of the affection of the vital force, must be the principle or the sole means whereby the disease can make known what remedy it requires. So to give the remedy, you must know the totality of symptoms, that is the totality of these its symptoms of this outwardly reflected picture of internal essence of disease. Means you know actually the knowledge of disease, that is how the outwardly reflected picture of internal essence of disease, means the symptoms, that is of the affection of a vital force. These symptoms are caused due to the affection of vital force, and must be the principle or the sole means whereby the disease can make known what remedy it requires. And if you know all the signs and symptoms thoroughly, you can form the totality of symptoms, and on that totality of symptoms you may know the what remedy it requires to treat that disease condition. Then the only thing that can determine the choice of the most appropriate remedy, and thus in a word, thus the totality of the symptoms must be the principle, indeed only thing the physician has to take note of in every case of disease, and to remove by means of his art, in order that it shall be cured and transferred into health. So with the help of totality of symptoms, you can form a portrait of disease, and that portrait of disease can be matched with a portrait of remedy, and in this way you can transport the patient into disease condition into a cure or into a total health. Then physician would first remove this where it exists the indisposition. It is not necessary to say that every intelligent thereupon generally ceases spontaneously. He will remove from the room strong smelling flowers, which have a tendency to cause syncope and hysterical sufferings. Extract from the cornea the foreign body that excites the inflammation of the eye, loosen the overtight bandage on a wounded limb that threatens to cause mortification, and apply a more suitable one. So this is the different examples that Dr. Kent explained about the indisposition. That is, to remove the indisposition, you have to remove the exciting cause or the maintaining cause, and the intelligent physician can remove that exciting or the maintaining cause. In this he gives different examples, that is, if in a flower there is a strong smelling flowers are present in a room, and that strong smelling flower causes syncope or hysterical suffering, so you have to remove that flowers from the room. Then extract from the cornea the foreign body that excite the inflammation of the eye. That is, if there is a presence of foreign body that causes the inflammation of the eye. So to remove the inflammation of eye, you have to remove the foreign body from the eye. Then loosen the over-tight bandage on wounded limb that threatens to cause mortification, and apply a more suitable one. If some part of a body is causing the mortification, or goes into the condition of gangrene due to the tight bandage, so you have to remove that tight bandage or loosen that tight bandage, so you can stop the wounded limb to become threatens to cause the mortification. So these are the different examples that Dr. Kent explained about the indisposition. Then these are also the examples, that is, they lay bare or put ligatures on the wounded artery that produces fainting. They endeavor to promote the expulsion by omitting of belladonna berries that may have been swallowed, extract foreign substances that may have got into the orifices of the body, the nose, the ears, urethra, rectum, vagina, crush the vesicles, calculus, open the imperforate anus of the newborn infant, etc. So these are the different examples of indisposition. Then the next point that Dr. Kent explained about the indisposition is a psoric individual has his periods of indispositions from external cause, but these external causes do not inflict psora upon him. That is, indispositions from external causes mimic the miasm, that is, their group of symptoms is a is an imitation of a miasmatic manifestation, but the removal of external cause is likely to restore the patient to health. So sometimes there are some psoric disorders or psoric individuals that may mimic the indispositions. Sometimes there is a presence of psoric disorder in these psoric patients, but sometimes we may think that it is not the actual disease condition, but it is a indisposition. But you have to differentiate between indisposition and a disease condition by the removing of their exciting or the maintaining causes. That is, if you remove the exciting cause, the patient feels better. So this is the indisposition. But sometimes the psoric individual that following all the rules, regulation, his life is totally in an orderly way, even though he is suffering from some symptoms. So in that case, that symptoms or that disease condition may demand some remedy, and in that case you have to prescribe some remedy to that psoric individuals. Then the active cause is within and the apparent cause of sickness is without. So the active cause is within means if there is the fundamental causes which are from the center to periphery, means these causes are present within the body, and the apparent causes of sickness is without, means these exciting cause or maintaining cause are without the body or outside the body, but the active causes, which is the fundamental causes, that is psora, psychosis and syphilis, these are within the body, and this causes the actual disease condition in a person. But the indisposition means these are caused due to some external causes. This may be the exciting cause or the maintaining causes. Then if man had no psora, no deep miasmatic influence within his economy, he would be able to throw off all these business cares. He would not become insane from business depression, and the young girl would not suffer so from affairs. That is if man had no psora, if the actual cause of disease is not a miasmatic causes that influence within his economy, so there is no deep miasmatic influences within his body or his economy, he would be able to throw off all these business cares. That is, he would not become insane from business depressions, and the young girl would not suffer so from the love affairs. So if there is a miasmatic cause, the influence is deep, and if there is not a miasmatic cause, the person may not suffer from these causes, that is the business failures, business depressions, or from the love affairs. So these peoples may not suffer from these things if there is not a fundamental cause present in them. The physician then must discriminate between the causes that are apparent or external, the grosser things, from the truer causes of disease, which are from the center to circumstances. So, the physician must differentiate between these. The cause of disease is in a deeper level or in a superficial level. So, the disease, actual disease condition having the causes that is from the center to circumference, sorry. Then the indisposition usually yields of itself, or if the psoric condition has been somewhat disturbed, order can be restored by a few doses of the homeopathic remedy. So in that case, the indisposition usually yields of itself. Indisposition can be recovered by itself, or if the psoric condition has been somewhat disturbed, order can be restored by few doses of a homeopathic medicine or a remedy. That is, indisposition can be healed itself. It can be treated by itself only by the proper diet and regimen. But if there is a psoric condition, that psoric condition can be restored only by few doses of homeopathic remedy. That is, you need some medicine in that cases if there is a psoric conditions or the disease conditions that are caused due to the psoric miasm, you must need some homeopathic remedy in that cases. But in indisposition, there is a no need of medicinal aid. The indisposition can be very well treated by removing only exciting or the maintaining causes or maintaining the regular diet and regimen. Then the organon condemns on principle the removal of external manifestation of disease by any external means whatever. That is, the organon condemns the principle, that is, if there is a removal of external manifestation of disease by any external means or whatever. Then, now as in a disease from which no manifest exciting or maintaining cause has to be removed, we can pursue nothing but the morbid symptoms. That is, now in a disease from which no manifest exciting or maintaining cause has to be removed, we can pursue nothing but the morbid symptom, and it must be the symptom alone by which the disease demands and points to the remedy suited to relieve it. That is, if the disease condition is not removed or not cured by removing the exciting or maintaining causes, in that case the disease may demands and points to the remedy suited to relieve it. That is, this disease condition may require a remedy to relieve these symptoms or to become a cure. So in that cases where disease condition is present, in that case you may require a remedy to treat that disease condition. Then this divides the homeopathy into two parts, that is, the science of homeopathy and the art of homeopathy. I think we are come up to these points, that is, this divides the homeopathy into two parts, that is, the science of homeopathy and the art of homeopathy. So up till now all of you clear about what we studied in previous class about the indisposition. Okay, now from this point we are going to discuss the next part of indisposition from Kant's philosophy. So in this divides the homeopathy into two parts, the science of homeopathy and the art of homeopathy. So what is mean by science of homeopathy and what is mean by art of homeopathy? So in this, the science treats of the knowledge relating to the doctrine of cure, the knowledge of principle or order, which you may say in physiology, the knowledge of the disorder in the human economy, which is a pathology, that is the science of disease, not morbid anatomy, and the knowledge of the cure. The science of homeopathy is first to be learned to prepare one for the application of that science. which is the art of homeopathy. So, if we cast our eyes over those who have been taught, self taught, or otherwise, we can see that some can learn the science, become quite famous, and pass excellent examinations, and are utterly unable to apply the science, or in other words, to practice the art of healing, for all healing consists in making application of the science. So in this divides the homeopathy, means the Dr. Hahnemann divides the homeopathy, or the what is the homeopathy is divided into two parts, that is the science of homeopathy and the art of homeopathy. So in this, the science of homeopathy means you have to gain the knowledge about that pathy, that is what is mean by physiology, what is mean by pathology, what is mean by actually homeopathy, and how to cure the patient. This knowledge you have taken in the science of homeopathy, that is the knowledge about each thing, that is mean by science of homeopathy, that is you studied up to final year, that is the science of homeopathy, that is you studied, but after this how to apply this knowledge in practice, that is the art of homeopathy, or how to cure the patient, this is the art of homeopathy, and this you learn after the final year. Up to final year you are only taking the knowledge of science of homeopathy, but to gain the knowledge of art of homeopathy you have to practice, that is it is a experience that you teach about the homeopathy, or it is a art how to practice the homeopathy. So in this, the science of homeopathy is to be first learned to prepare one for the application of that science, means you learning about the application of that science, and which is the art of homeopathy, means you learning that particular part, this is the science of homeopathy, but how to apply that learned part on a patient, that is the art of homeopathy. So in this way they differentiate between the science of homeopathy and the art of homeopathy. So you have to remember these 2 points regarding, that is homeopathy is mainly divided into two parts, science of homeopathy and art of homeopathy. Science of homeopathy means you have taken the knowledge of each and everything about the homeopathy, about the body of a patient, about the physiology, pathology, all knowledges about different subjects. This is the science of homeopathy. But actually, how to treat the patient or how to practice the homeopathy, it is the art of homeopathy. And this will be gained after only you are doing the practice or experience teach you, that is the art of homeopathy. So this is the homeopathy divided into two parts, the science of homeopathy and the art of homeopathy. बाहेर जायचे बाहेर जायचे So then the next point is regarding the disease of a patient and the disease of medicine that makes the cure. In next paragraph, Dr. Hahnemann explained about the disease of patient plus the disease of medicine that will make the cure. So in this, first we will see what Dr. Kent explained about it. We will take a 5-minute break. All of you, are you able to listen? We will take 5 to 10 minutes break, then we will start with lecture again. Now this link will be end in 5 minutes. I will send you the next link in a 10 minutes. Okay, just 5 minutes.